This is the Australia group. Today we're going to be discussing Australian English. My name is Emily Barnes. So Australian English was first kind of introduced in about 1788 when Australia was colonized about the same time. As of today, there are about 19 million speakers for Australian English, and we got that from the ICE database.
All right, my name is Samuel Bronco, and from what we could find in the Journal of International Phonetic Association, we found that Australian has three major standard dialects, one of them being Australian Standard English, which is most dominant, and then two other less dominant dialects, which would be ethnocultural English and Aboriginal English.
In addition to that, from that same paper, which is Cox et al. 2007, we also learned that Australian English is actually based off of Southern British dialects that were spoken around the time of 1780, when Australia was founded as a penal colony for prisoners and criminals. So the Australian English that we have today actually really grew out of these dialects that were kind of considered subnormal in a sense. And you actually still see a lot of the influences from these dialects preserved in the speech of everyday people.
Yeah, and it really wasn't until, I'm Audrey Bradshaw.
And I'm Mike Drinkeroff, by the way.
Yeah. It was interesting because despite being around for 200 years, Australian English was not really accepted until the late 20th century, especially by their own speakers. Because in early texts, according to the World Englishes book by Kirkpatrick, there were references of old quotes with people complaining about how ugly the Australian accent was, even people, American people, British people, and Australian. And one was complaining about using Australian English in the classroom and that it wasn't appropriate. And it really wasn't until 1952 when the ABC, Australian Broadcasting Commission, allowed Australian English to be used on the air in their broadcasting. And it wasn't until 1978 and into the 80s that there were publications written, including the Macquarie Dictionary, that discussed Australian English, and they had their own dictionary for words that they used. And so,
So that was the 5 main points that we kind of found about Australian English as a whole. And then in our next video, we'll talk more about the linguistic variation that's found in Australian English.